So hello and welcome, my name is Carl and this is Just the Way It Is, and today is episode 8 in our series all about the R1250GS. So what are we looking at today? Well, today we're talking about accessories, and in particular, can we get accessories on a budget but still maintaining good value and good quality products? So we've got a total of 17 accessories. We've got 9 across the bottom of the bike. We've got 8 across the top of the bike. As we go through, we're going to compare full price, top brand parts and the solutions that I found. So really it was a task to find, could I get good quality parts for at least half the price? So let's get going. So frame plugs. Here again, we got the chance to save a little bit of money, but I think in hindsight, this is one area that I might not have gone down. Now I've had the experience with the cheaper parts. The top one that you can see on the up here, this is made by Wunderlich. Now a friend has lent it to me to plug in so that you can have a look. The rubber that they use in the Wunderlich part is a much better quality. It's softer, it doesn't smell, and it fits really well. Now the Chinese made parts, which are these ones, and I'll show you around the bike as we go, they work, they plug the gaps, but the rubber's quite hard. It's quite difficult to get them in exactly the right position. And although you can save quite a bit of money, Wunderlich parts, 60 euros. The Chinese parts are about, I think I paid 17 or 18 euros. I'll put prices up. So there is a saving to be made. I think this is one area where, in hindsight, I would have chosen to go with the Wunderlich parts. These side stand enlargeners. Now you can buy these from all over the place. Most of the big manufacturers will charge you 50 euros for the privilege of having one of their side stand base enlargeners. But you can pick these up at a very good price if you're prepared to hunt around and if you're prepared to wait and order them from China. This particular one I got from Amazon. It arrived the next day after ordering it, and it cost me 16 euros, and I've been really impressed. I went for the titanium color. I'll do a close-up so you can have a look. One thing to bear in mind, that you would think that the side stand on the GS is the same all the way through the model range. Oh no, there are at least, that I'm aware of, 3 different sizes. And what do I mean by different sizes? Well, the length of the side stand is the same, but the base, the shape of the base is different. So if you're going to order one of these for your GS, you need to make sure what type of side stand you've got fitted to your bike. Now, as far as I'm aware, something like the triple black, which is what you would call the standard GS, that has one type. The GSA, the Adventure, that has a different type. It's much wider and longer. And then there's the Rallye version, and that also has a different type of base. I'll try and find some pictures and put some pictures up so you can have a look. The easiest thing to do is to take a piece of paper and a pencil, put your bike on the center stand, put your paper up underneath the side stand base and draw around it, and then compare the image you've drawn with the images I think I can find, and I'll put on the screen for you so you know which ones to order, because there are at least 3 different sizes, and if you don't get the right size, this will end up rattling around and coming loose and possibly falling off. So you need to make sure you order the right one. And one other tip, when you mount them, do not do those screws up really tight. They only really need to be nipped plus another 20 or 30 degrees with an Allen key, but do use something like Loctite. I think Loctite 243 was the number that I used, and also give it time to cure, in other words, time to dry and go off. So 24 hours after you've mounted it. Since I put it on with Loctite, it has not moved and it's still secure. It doesn't rattle around, and I've been very impressed. For the cost of 16 euros, that gets a big thumbs up for me. So for those of you that have followed me in the series or the GS series from the very beginning, you'll be laughing now, because right back very early on, I said I would not probably ever fit crash bars. I don't like the look, I don't like the style of them, and what I chose to fit very early on were these Wunderlich cylinder head protectors. And I think for the road, this is all for me that I really need to see on the bike in case I drop it while the bike's in a petrol station or turning around or something. However, I need to explain why I've bought some. So as you know, we're going to Norway. I think I've got 6 days left before we actually depart. So I've got to get all of this fitted pretty quickly. And because I've done all the organising for the tour, I've done the booking, the accommodation, and I've done the route planning, our motorcycle club is made up of a mixture of experienced riders that are going to be on adventure style bikes and a mixture of other riders on street bikes and cruisers. So there's a whole range of people going with a whole range of bikes, and that's going to be fine. However, the adventure guys want to take their adventure bikes off-road. So while doing the route planning, I found some very nice mountain tracks. It looks like we can use them. It's not forbidden to use that type of road in Norway. So I had the decision to make. Do I go with them, or do I go on the road with the guys on their cruisers and their street bikes? And in the end, I decided, what is the point of having an adventure bike if I don't have an adventure? So I hope I don't get this wrong, and I hope I don't fall off. I'm not very good off-road at all, in the least. So I decided, if I'm going to go off-road, which I'm going to do, I need to fit some crash protection. So then the question is, what do I fit? Well, I spent quite a bit of time looking online at the different types of crash protection you can buy, and I still wanted to keep it to the absolute minimum. I'm not going to go fast off-road. I think the most we're going to do is gravel tracks, maybe some hard pack, and I think this sort of thing is going to be fine. These are BMW's basic bottom of the range crash bars, and I think they retail at 348 euros. So I knew it was going to be quite a task to find these for half price. So I couldn't get them new, even with some good discounts that I got offered, 15, 20%, it still wasn't enough. So I ended up having a look on in the used market, and I actually found a guy that had bought a new 2022 GS, and he wanted to change all of the crash bars on his bike and fit something completely different. He didn't like the silver look, he wanted black. Anyway, we ended up agreeing on a price of 188 euros, which is more than I wanted to spend, and it's not quite half of the 348 that they are new, but it's a relatively good saving. They're not new, there's some odd marks and nicks on there, but the one thing I'm not sure of yet is, as I've got these Wunderlich cylinder head protectors, I don't know whether these are going to foul on here. So as you can see on these crash bars, they have these rubber inserts that give that extra bit of protection if the bars are pressed into the cylinder head, and I think I might have to remove them. They're only held on, I don't know whether you can see that on the film, they're held on with rivets. There's only 2 rivets holding them on, so if they do touch and they do foul, these Wunderlich covers, I'm going to drill these out and remove them and then mount the crash bars. But I'll find that out later on this afternoon when I mount everything, and I'll tell you what I find. So let's move on. Now this is an interesting accessory. What we're looking at here is this very small aluminium plate. It's less than 10 centimeters tall, but it stops all of the road debris, in particular the stones that are thrown up onto the front of the engine casing. Now BMW have really come on leaps and bounds with their coatings on the front of this cylinder block cover, but it's still not enough. If you're going to take your bike off-road, you will pebble dash this and chip the paint. So what I decided to do was add this small metal plate. Now a lot of the manufacturers, a lot of the top brand manufacturers have these available. They're approximately 50-60 euros, which seems quite expensive for a small piece of aluminium. I actually got this off of AliExpress. I had to wait 5 weeks for it to arrive. No, I think it was 4.5 weeks for it to arrive, but it cost me a total of 9 euros. Very, very cheap. I did have to buy some new bolts. The bolts that came with it were really poor quality. I chucked them in the bin. And what I got instead was some proper stainless steel bolts. I went to my local metal merchants and got some new replacement bolts. You can't use the original BMW ones because there is a spacer which you can just see under there, which you need to retain, which just keeps that metal plate away from the engine. So I think it was an extra 7 millimeters of length that I needed to find with these bolts. But actually, value for money, for the money that I paid, I'm being really pleased with that. So another area where you can potentially save a good chunk of money is with the fender extender for the rear. Now, what is it and why is it there? Well, when you're in the rain, the rear wheel's spinning around, it chucks a lot of water and debris underneath the back of the bike. And without one of these fender extenders, it actually chucks all that water and muck back towards the front of the bike, and it covers the shock and all the electronics that sit behind it. It also goes through here and through these open segments of the frame, and you get very, very wet. It is not a clever idea. So with these fender extenders, there are different brands and different names on the market. I think by far the most popular one when I had a look yesterday was the brand is Mudsling. That's available in the UK, when I checked, was 155 euros, which seems rather expensive for a piece of injection molded plastic. So a little bit of research shows that you can pick these up on Amazon. Unfortunately, these really are almost a copy of the Mudsling. They're very slightly different in their design, but they're more than half the price. 55 euros will get you one of these, and once they're mounted, you just don't look at it. I think I had a look at it the day after I fitted it, and I haven't thought about it once. It does a great job of keeping that water and that spray inside of this area and stops it spreading across the rest of the bike, and in particular all over you and your legs. So there are various different brands, various different makes. So we've gone from 155 to 65 with this product, and I've not had any problems. It's mounted really easy, and in fact it's got a slightly different mounting system. On the Mudsling, you need to use cable ties on your frame to hold the upper part secure. But with the design of this one, it just clips in and it doesn't move. And I have been very impressed with it. So the next item on my wish list was a replacement screen. I don't want to go larger with the screen. I'm quite happy with the wind protection that the GS provides, but what I'm not happy with is the noise that's generated around the helmet, the turbulence. So I need to find a solution for that. Now I'm going to cover this in more detail in a later episode once I've found the ideal solution that works for me. But to get me started, and the solution that I found that worked best for me on my multi-strider was a short screen. I'm quite happy with some wind blast on my face and my helmet. It keeps me cool in the summer, but what I don't want is noise. That's the thing I really don't want to have. So BMW do make the short Rallye screen, the adventure screen, and that I think from memory was 160 euros. I'll put prices and part numbers up, and it's available in two options, a clear and a dark tint. Now this comes from the firm WRS in Italy. They actually have three versions of this. They have a clear, a light tint and a dark tint. This is the, I don't know whether you can see that, that's a clear, a mid tint. And I think it looks quite nice. I'm gonna fit it and try it. But more about my solution to getting rid of wind noise at a later episode. One other thing that I've not included in this price comparison, this is a copy. There's no way to get around this. This is a copy from China of the MRA X screen. Now the X screen retails for about 105 euros. I had to wait, I think 6 weeks for this to arrive. No, 5 or 6 weeks for this to arrive. And it cost a whole 23 euros. The quality's okay. I don't think all the brackets are gonna hold up a long time, but what I wanted to know is if I'm going to invest in an MRA X screen, does it actually work and does it provide the solutions I want? So it will mount. I've had a quick flash mount to see whether it works, and I'm going to fit this and cover this in a later episode. So that's the screen element. Let's move on to the next thing. Next thing on our list is headlight protectors. The headlights behind here are 1,800 euros if you get a big stone through the front. So I think it's a really important idea to protect your headlight. Now the protection for your headlight starts as little as 18 euros. Yep, you heard me right, 18 euros. BMW want 115. Theirs is slightly different. It's a more angular mounting system, and it kind of matches the look of the screen on the top, but it's 115. You can pay anywhere in between that price range, depending on how much you've got available. I went for one of these from a company called WRS in Italy. I've been very happy with it. There's a little bit of branding on there, but not too much. And I found it quite good in terms of scratch resistance. There are some very small micro scratches that are appearing on the lens or on this plastic element, but it doesn't seem to affect the output from the headlight. And I think all of them are going to have a similar level or varying levels of scratches over time. So as we go forward with the review of this GS, maybe in a year's time, I'll come back and tell you what I really think of it. But so far, I've been very pleased. Simple to fit. You get 4 spacers, 4 screws in the kit, takes you about 20 minutes, and you've protected your very expensive headlight. So you've got a lot of options and you can save a big chunk of money. So tank pads. Everybody probably already has a tank pad fitted to their GS. This particular one came from an Italian firm called AZ Graphics. I've used them for many years for a lot of decals. This is a 3D gel. They do not fade in the sun. This is the key thing with tank pads, the ones that you put on either the side or on the front here to stop your jacket zip damaging your tank. They don't fade in the sun. I've had, I think, 4 or 5 of these over the many years. On different motorbikes. They're a super quality. No, I'm not sponsored by them. No, they didn't send it for free. I paid for it with my own money. I've ordered these also for my friends too, and they've used them and they've also been very happy. Cost-wise, 20 euros. I mean, you really can't go wrong with a really high quality tank pad like that. The part number for this, I think, if I remember correctly, was GP577. I'll put the actual part number up. There's a whole range of them for triple blacks and adventures and the earlier GSs, and they make some really nice ones. Now, in terms of colour match, I think they've done a really good job in matching the blue and the red with the colour scheme of this particular Rallye version, but I think you'll have your own ideas of what you'll want to fit to your bike. So that's just to show you the tank pad. So as you can see, there is a considerable saving to be made if you're prepared to spend some time and do your research and find products that you're happy with at a certain price point. If we look at that list that we originally made, that was over 1,600 euros. I mean, that is just a phenomenal amount of money. Now, when I thought about making this end video, it suddenly dawned on me, if we look at the pictures behind, my red Honda CBR 1000 FX. Now, I sold that in 2018 and I only got 1,500 euros for that motorbike, and it was mint, and I even stuck a new set of tyres on it for the owner that collected it. So 1,500 euros, that's how much that accessory list is, and that's how much I got for my motorbike when I sold it. So it's a huge amount of money, and you can do an awful lot, and for those people that can't afford to buy this sort of thing new, it is a big chunk of money. So the saving we've made, I'll put a list up now, is quite significant. Now, you can use that money for a motorcycle holiday or take your family away. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my family and we're going to go away for a weekend, go to the theatre, have a nice meal and celebrate the fact that we have actually saved a great deal of money. Now, the only thing out of the whole project that I've not been really happy with is this hub drive protector. It's way too heavy. It adds too much mass to the unsprung weight of the rear wheel. It looks really nice, as you've probably seen on the earlier video, and optically it's very good, but it's too heavy. I wouldn't want to leave it on there, certainly for a tour, but the quality is not brilliant, but it's been the only thing that I've failed to achieve out of the 17 items. So what comes up next? Well, in the next episode, we're looking at top boxes. And by the time you watch that episode, I will be in Norway with our bike club, yippee, finally on tour, which we've been trying to do for 3 years. So in the next episode, I'll show you my decision-making process, what I'm looking for from a top box, because it could be different to what you're looking for. I'm very specific about what I want, but I'll cover that in the next video, which you'll see very soon. So as usual, my name is Carl, you've been watching Just the Way It Is, and I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Leave some comments, let me know, have you found some accessories that you found to be a good price compared to these very expensive top brand ones? I'd be interested to find out. See you soon on the next episode.